I know what you might be thinking. Who is making content about Final Fantasy 1 in the year 2025? Well, it's me, Esper Omen. And why am I doing that? Why go all the way back to where it all started? Let's talk about it. So I own almost every Final Fantasy game available on Steam. You name it, it's in my library. But have I played most of them? Nah, not really. The backlog shame is real. So, I made a commitment. This year, I'm finally going to sit down and go through them all, one by one. And what better place to begin than the game that started it all? Today we're diving into Final Fantasy I, the one that kicked off a franchise now spanning decades, genres, and God knows how many alternate timelines. We'll walk through the story, break down the major events, and I'll share my thoughts as a modern player going back to an old school classic. Let's do this. So, first things first, creating our Warriors of Light. Final Fantasy I lets you pick your party from 6 classic job classes: Warrior, Thief, Monk, Red Mage, White Mage, and Black Mage. You can mix and match however you want. 4 warriors? Sure. 4 white mages? That's chaos. For me, I made just one small tweak. I swapped out a thief for a monk. Personal preference. I like punching things without weapons. Sue me. As for names, I went with a little personal touch. My warrior, Sir Roland, named after a close friend and fellow content creator. Go check out his stuff. The rest, myself and my partner. We're going full sentimental. After setting up the team, the game hits you with a world map sprawl and a quick lore dump. The world is dying. Elemental imbalances, darkness spreading, your classic everything is going to hell situation. But wait, there's a prophecy, because of course there is. When darkness veils the world, 4 warriors of light shall come. Wouldn't you know it, we stroll in with 4 glowing crystals like we just bought them off eBay. No one questions it, we're just ready to go. We arrive at Cornelia, our starting kingdom, and immediately waltz into the castle to speak with the king. We show off our shiny crystals like we're trying to trade them for rupees at a flea market. Now, you'd expect him to be like, thank you, saviors of the world, but nope. He tells us that instead of, saving the world, we need to rescue his daughter, Princess Sarah, who's been kidnapped. It's like telling the Avengers to go find your lost cat. Worse still, the guy who took her is his former best knight, Garland, who's said to be unmatched in swordsmanship. And here's the kicker, we can't even leave his territory until we rescue her because the bridge is out. Dude is literally holding up the apocalypse for some family drama. So off we go to the Chaos Shrine. Garland is chilling like a full-blown Saturday morning cartoon villain. He gives his villain speech, and then we throw down. His sprite, amazing. Very Power Rangers Mystic Force. For all the build-up, though, he folds like a cheap suit. And just like that, we rescue the princess. Back in Cornelia, the king is suddenly a lot more helpful. He tells us there's more to the prophecy, and that we must relight the 4 elemental crystals. To celebrate the return of his daughter, he rebuilds the bridge. Cue a surprisingly charming pixel cutscene of the castle soldiers hammering away while heroic music plays. Honestly, it's a vibe. As we cross the bridge, the screen fades into a classic RPG-style text scroll. It's official. Our real adventure begins. Our next stop is Provoca, a port town now overrun by pirates. These guys clearly didn't hear about our work with Garland because they pick a fight. Big mistake. After we mop the floor with them, their leader hands over his ship like he's been waiting for someone to take it off his hands. With a ship in hand, we sail to Elfheim, where we discover the Prince of Elves is in a coma. Seems like royalty is having a tough time in this world. Turns out we need a special potion to wake him up. Time for a fetch quest. We hear rumors about a ruined castle nearby, the Western Keep. There's a so-called king there who claims that a dark elf named Astos stole his crown. Sounds suspicious. We head to the Marsh Cave, fight our way through swamps and monsters, and grab the crown. We return it to the king, and surprise, it's actually Astos. He tricked us into doing his dirty work. Classic. After a quick boss fight against one of the weirdest looking sprites in the game, seriously, that design is rough, we take him down and get a crystal eye as a bonus. Now, if you're wondering what to do with a crystal eyeball, of course we take it to a blind witch named Matoya, who lives alone in the mountains. She gives us a jolt tonic, which, shockingly, is exactly what we need to wake up the sleeping prince. The prince wakes up, hands us the mystic key, and we're off again. Back in Cornelia, we use the key to open locked rooms in the castle and find nitro powder? Who stores explosives under a castle? These people need safety inspectors. We take the nitro powder to Mount Drugar, where the dwarves do what dwarves do best, blow stuff up. They use it to blast a canal open, expanding our sailing range. Thanks, fellas. From there, we head to the Cavern of Earth, where we find the land is being drained of life. After wandering through the cave, we encounter a vampire who's drinking the Earth's blood, I guess? We beat him and grab a star ruby. Turns out there's a giant nearby who won't let anyone pass unless they give him a star ruby. We hand it over and he eats it. He just eats it. That was his whole role. You'll never see him again. The cave leads us to a sage who tells us that the vampire was just a minion, and the true evil lies deeper. He gives us the Earth Rod, which unlocks the lower floor of the Earth Crystal. There we face Lich, the first real fiend, and finally light our first elemental crystal. 1 down, 3 to go. We make our way to Crescent Lake, meet a council of wise men, classic RPG trope, and they give us a key item, a canoe. No, seriously, a canoe. This allows us to navigate rivers and reach Mount Gulg, home to the Fire Crystal. After navigating lava-filled hallways and burning floors, we fight Merilith, a snake lady fire demon with an awesome sprite. And after we beat her, we relight the second crystal. Next up, the Cavern of Ice, a slippery dungeon filled with pitfalls, literally. You have to fall through a floor to reach the Levy Stone. We take it to a desert and boom, cutscene time, our airship rises from the sands, finally letting us explore the world properly. With our new airship, we head to the Citadel of Trials, where we need to prove our worth. After completing a tedious maze of teleporters, we find our reward, a rat tail. Seriously? But with that rat tail, we go find Bahamut, the king of dragons, and as soon as he sees it, he knows that we are courageous adventurers, so he upgrades all of our classes. Warriors become knights, mages become wizards, and the monk becomes a master. And it literally makes our sprites bigger. It's one of the most satisfying moments in the game. Your team goes from scrappy adventurers to legit heroes. Next, we learn about a sunken temple and a submarine, but it's not ready yet. The woman that made it warns us that it isn't safe and there is no way to breathe when it goes too deep. If only someone could have warned the people of OceanGate the same way. So we of course travel to a shady desert caravan to buy a ferry from a shady dealer, because of course that makes sense. And as soon as we get back to the town, the ferry escapes. After we find her again, she rewards us with Oxyale, a substance that allows us to breathe underwater. What a journey. With our Oxyale-powered submarine, we dive down deep into the Sunken Shrine, a surprisingly expansive underwater temple. Down here, we face off against Kraken, the Fiend of Water. Kraken's design is appropriately intimidating, massive tentacles and a threatening stance. But at this point, our team is so juiced from class upgrades, we make sushi out of him in no time. And just like that, the third crystal is lit. We're really doing this. We also recovered the Rosetta Stone from the temple. Definitely not just a cool collectible, this will come in handy shortly. We bring the Rosetta Stone to Dr. Un, or Dr. Un, who uses it to learn the ancient Lufinian language. After learning it himself, he somehow teaches it to us instantly, because sure, why not? This opens up access to the Lufinian town, a secluded high-tech community where we learn some big lore drops. These people are descendants of an ancient civilization that once harnessed the power of the Wind Crystal. And, of course, they invented the airship. Thanks to the OG tech genius Sid. That's right, even Final Fantasy I has a Sid reference. We also learn that the Wind Crystal is located at the top of a floating fortress, which is accessed through the Mirage Tower using a chime the Lufinians give us. Now, before we go to the Mirage Tower, we also need something called a Warp Cube. Because to get from the Mirage Tower to the Flying Fortress, you gotta warp. So we go to a waterfall cavern, and in there's a single robot that gives us a Warp Cube. Inside the Mirage Tower, we climb to the top and use our previously acquired Warp Cube. Shout out to the random robot who gave it to us. And we use that to teleport to the Floating Fortress. This is where the game's tech fantasy aesthetic really kicks in. The Floating Fortress is full of robots, mechanical enemies, and even an observation room where we get a view of the entire world map. The game shows us that the power from all 4 crystals is being channeled back to one place, the Chaos Shrine. Foreshadowing, anyone? At the top we meet Tiamat, Fiend of Wind. Honestly, not my favorite design. Looks a little cluttered compared to the others, but still formidable. After taking her down, we light the final crystal. All 4 are now glowing. We did it, right? Right? Wrong. The game hits you with a curveball. The source of all this chaos wasn't just the 4 fiends, but something deeper. And we've got to go back to the Chaos Shrine, where it all began. But not just back in time, 2,000 years into the past. We enter the shrine, and it's now a full-on dungeon gauntlet. Along the way, we refight all 4 fiends in the order we originally met them. Lich, Merilith, Kraken, and Tiamat. They're stronger now, but so are we. And finally, at the bottom, it's him. Garland. Yep, somehow he's back, and here comes the twist that blew my mind even in 2025. When we defeated Garland at the start of the game, the 4 fiends sent him 2,000 years into the past to save him. Once in the past, Garland gained godlike powers, became chaos, and set the fiends to the future to create a time loop that would keep him alive forever. Let me repeat that. We defeated Garland, the fiends saved Garland by sending him to the past. Past Garland becomes chaos, chaos sends fiends to the future, fiends protect Garland. Repeat, forever? That's some real time loop nonsense. So, there he is, Chaos, looking like a cross between a demon, a Power Ranger villain, and an album cover from a metal band. He's big, intimidating, and his sprite holds up incredibly well even for today. The battle is tough, probably the hardest in the game, but with a solid party build and a few lucky crits, we finally take him down. The screen fades. We've done it. The game explains what really happened. By defeating Chaos in the past, we break the time loop, which means none of this ever happened. The world is saved, yes, but no one remembers the Warriors of Light. Their deeds are erased by the very act of stopping Garland. The future is rewritten, the world restored, but the heroes are forgotten. It's kind of a bittersweet, surprisingly mature ending, especially for an NES game from 1987. Your victory rewrites history, leaving you as a silent legend, remembered only by fate. So now that we've walked through the whole journey, from humble beginnings in Cornelia to rewriting time itself, let me share some final thoughts. For a game that came out almost 40 years ago, Final Fantasy I holds up shockingly well. It's not a perfect game. There are a lot of moments where the design shows its age, vague objectives, repetitive dungeons, and the occasional where the heck do I go moment. But that's all part of its charm. There's something raw and satisfying about the simplicity of it. The turn-based combat is straightforward but still strategic. The music, even in its 8-bit glory, hits hard, and the story, while basic on the surface, has some deep, surprising moments that laid the groundwork for decades of Final Fantasy games to come. It's also surprisingly replayable. With 6 job classes and tons of party combinations, you can easily run through it multiple times with completely different experiences. Want a team of all mages, all fists? Go for it. For me, Final Fantasy I isn't just a classic because of nostalgia, it's a genuinely fun and playable RPG even today. Final verdict, a solid 7 out of 10. Not perfect, but an essential piece of gaming history, and for me, a perfect starting point on this journey through the Final Fantasy series. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this deep dive into Final Fantasy I. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, maybe even subscribe, and let me know in the comments what was your first Final Fantasy game, or did you also just start with Final Fantasy I? Next, I'll be doing Final Fantasy II, which I've heard is pretty different, and we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching.